Cheers, hello and welcome. That was quite a high start, wasn't it? Cheers. That sounded quite like I was female for 1 minute there. So is our Wi-Fi working? Yes. Are you here? Yes, you are. Hello, hello, hello. Now I have to fess up. I did consider getting in the shower before Katie's arms. And then I thought, nah, bugger it. So I'm sitting here I'm checking my teeth. I am sitting here in my outfit that I've had on all day. And I'm kind of a little bit on the salty side because hello, Scotland, hello. I love this whole hello from Scotland, hello New Zealand. I have updated, as you'll have seen, the promo square for Katie's arms. So now I think the times on it are actually right, which might be the first time that's happened in a very long time. Yes, so as I was explaining, I haven't been in the shower and I am actually saltier than a sweaty sausage at the moment, which might be something that you, it's a good job you haven't got scratch and sniff. I don't think I actually smell. I mean, I might, whatever, but I haven't showered or washed my hair or done any of the things you're supposed to do. I do own dry shampoo though, which is God's gift to everybody. Though back in the day, some of you know, we used to use talcum powder to just like make your hair look less greasy. Does anyone else remember that? Bonjour from France. Bonjour France. I will be in Paris in a few days with my daughter for her India, as you guys know, for her 18th. That's her 18th birthday present. Is 3 days in Paris with me. Should be quite the education, shouldn't it? Don't ask how I'm getting there because we all know what we know. So my friends, can you do a limited hardback for Rude, Pete? Oh, I see. We're already on to books, which is craziness. There is something I want to talk about actually. So thank you to everybody who's been getting involved with this. So this was the limited edition of Help that lovely Mark made, so that people that didn't want to buy through Amazon didn't have to buy through Amazon, and so that it was actually like properly made and fabricated, because lovely Mark's into all of that. And then it also has a letter from me at the front end thanking all of you for generally sticking around over all the years that I've been around. And yes, so it's a thank you from me and a decent book that I think is much better, and no money goes to Amazon and we just cover the costs of the thing. So that's what we sell on Katie's Arms. But it's not a bad idea actually that we could do one for Rude, which was my first book. I'm trying to see, I haven't got one here, but we could do that. That would be nice, I think, if it was done in a similar size to this. So many things to talk about. Loved your book, thank you so much. Looking forward to seeing you in Blackpool. That's one of the things I want to talk about, is Blackpool, and I'm already really looking forward to it. It's on the 10th of September. So if you want to come to Blackpool, last time we all had the best time there, and it had very little to do with me, obviously. And it had a lot to do with the fact that everybody, as soon as everybody came in, they all knew that we were on like the same side of just wanting everyone to be all right. And as soon as anyone sat down, you could look around, I guess, in the audience, and you could go, all right, hi, yeah, hi, how you doing? Or do you want a hand with that? Or whatever. And everybody was kind of in this thing together, and people could chat to, it was like a big party, but sort of better, because no one had to pretend anything, because everyone knew why we were there, and you didn't have to pretend to be polite. You could just like, I guess it was like a bit like also being at home on your sofa, but at home on your sofa surrounded by 2,000 other people who were like you, and not in the like you, like they look like you, or they had the same thoughts as you, or they had the same religion as you, or they had blah, 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 blah. None of that. They were just like you because they just wanted you to be all right. And if you weren't all right, they'd look after you. And I remember saying this actually on stage, and if you lost something, they'd probably hand it in for you. And that's what Blackpool is to me, is a room full of that. And as a person, if I was in the audience there, as opposed to standing on the stage being an arsehole, that's how I would feel about it, is it's a moment to dip back in to how life should be, where everyone's just brilliant to each other. And I just, that was the takeaway. And even buzzing up the pier, there was also many people there who were on their way there, and so we will all be able to chat outside and outside in the bar and like on benches, and then I stole some disabled guy's disability scooter, and I was so actually that sounds a bit that probably sounds like I didn't just like go up to this disabled guy and just like cosh him on his disabled head and say, give me that fucking scooter. Mother, if you're watching this, you shouldn't be. We've discussed this. You don't like my language. You know what you can do. Go and see Monty Python. No, not Monty Python. Monty Don. Similar, but less amusing. So I didn't kill a disabled person to take his scooter, although that's obviously something I could do. I just borrowed it in order to zip up the Blackpool Pier on it. So I was zipping up Blackpool Pier with my legs akimbo, having the best time, because they actually go quite quickly. I didn't know disabled people, and I mean this sort of super nicely, but like I didn't know disabled people like to go at speed, but they do. And if and when I'm disabled in that regard, I totally want to get a disabled scooter, and I want to get it, like I need someone from Bradford or somewhere a bit dodge. On Tommy, I'll talk to you about that. Thank you, Kerry. So I would totally get a disability scooter, and then I'd have it modified so that it went faster. But anyway, going up the pier on the disability scooter, and there were some ladies there, and I was like, ooh, and then they came along to the show as well because someone sold them some tickets for cash. I don't know, I don't need to know about that bit. But that's what Blackpool is. So it's on the North Pier. It's at the big theatre at the end of the pier, Joe Longthorne Theatre. And it's on the 10th of September. And loads of people came from like bloody all over England to come there, and Scotland and all over, and then stayed. So loads of people were staying overnight. So it was just like super fun. So that's what I'm looking forward to Blackpool. But first up, we have Llanelli in Wales. Everybody's so sweet. Thank you for all the nice things you say. I don't deserve any of those, I'm sure. So first up, I'm going to be in Llanelli, and that's on the 20th of August. Yes, at the theatre. Samuel, is it Llewellyn? I wanted to say Samuel Jackson, but I'm sure it's not that. So Llanelli on the, let me get it right, 20th of August. So if you can come to that, do come, because I know that we'll have the same thing that we had in Blackpool. It doesn't matter how many we are. It doesn't matter. You'll arrive there. And as soon as you walk through the door, it was like, whew, right? You could just like, it doesn't matter what I think now, what I say now, or it doesn't matter. Everything's fine here. It's like that, like stepping back in time. Did Instagram remove my post supporting Mr. TR? Yes, they did. So it was just really lovely for me to see him trending on Twitter when obviously he's not allowed on the platform. I know we have plenty of people out there who have things against him and want to say stuff against him. And that's fine too, because that's obviously your opinion. My opinion is that for all of us are flawed, and me much more than most, and I've done things much, that you shouldn't do, and I've broken this and done that wrong and did this wrong and took someone's husband. So flaws, I can't be throwing any stones around anytime soon. But what I know that is in his heart, he's fighting for the right thing, and he saw and sees what's going on and what can't be talked about and isn't talked about in any way by anyone ever if they have to keep their jobs. And it's the same reason that I was removed from, ultimately the same reason I was removed from the Mail, Daily Mail and LBC, because that lot could see that I was a risk to them. And the truth of it is that within 5 years we will never have a government that isn't governed by being complicit in placating that mob, because they're entirely dependent on that mob for votes, and that mob is the majority. And actually, if real numbers were known in this country, it would be terrifying in terms of other communities pre-existing. So let's just say white Christians would already be and are a minority in London, Luton, Birmingham, Bradford and beyond. And it's the fact that those other communities are relied on for votes, and so no one will speak out ever again. And we're getting to the end of the last Conservative government we'll ever see, because there just isn't enough people on that voting for that versus voting for Labour and keeping stum and not saying anything. And I know that all Tommy really wanted to do, for all of our flaws, was expose that stuff. And as the person that walked him to jail last time, because I felt it important at that time, I still had jobs and a mainstream job and all the rest, and I felt it was important that someone defied everyone that told them not to and went with Tommy. And so I did. And so walked him to court, which we knew would be jail, and in his bag, and I can still see him unzipping the bag to show me what he had in it. And us both knowing that this walk was the walk where he went to jail, even though no one ever in the history of contempt, no, what was it he's supposed to have done? Contempt of court? Whatever it was he was supposed to have done. I guess it was breaking press restrictions, wasn't it? Press regs. No one in the history of that crime had ever gone to jail, but we knew that he would. And so walking him to jail felt important for me, and also visiting him in jail was important for me. And actually, when I visited him in jail, the governor came down, and the prison wardens were all brilliant. And this is what I find most places I go, prison wardens were lovely. The security wardens that got me through all of the security clearance were giving me a little hug. And then the prison governor came down just to be kind and supportive, and was good as gold to me and to Tommy. TR, before this collapses. And then it enabled me to tell a lot of that story. And I was like that to the governor, like, won't be long before I'm in. And he was like, well, probably not, Hopkins. So that was something for me really reassuring as well, to see that the prison thing on the inside, there would obviously be a lot of problem for me with other inmates, but because there's a certain community that would obviously be trying to get me as well. But in terms of the wardens and the governors, they see what we're trying to do. So that's why I stick by people. I find it's always very easy to point out things someone shouldn't have done, or maybe things that weren't so palatable, or maybe someone knows something that someone did this or did that, or went to that bar with that woman, or this prostitute, or that whatever. But it's up to you which element you want to look at of people's lives, isn't it? And mine certainly isn't. Could pick anything from my life and find something dark and dingy in there, like the very fact I haven't showered this evening. So yes, Instagram took my post down, and there's nothing I can do about it. So that's that. Opinion on Priti Patel. Oh right, so yes, Prime Minister. So last week, if you were with us for Katie's Arms, we were doing already for Wishy. And whether we were already for Wishy, really, Centurion. I'm surprised to see you. What is it? With this rabble of rebel raisers. What is it? Anyway, so Rishi Sunak, and I said, didn't I, at the time, be careful because he's really short. I can tell, I can feel it, I can see the camera angles, I know. And then earlier this week I did a little video about the fact that I believe he's nipple height, because I was looking and if I was on his press and PR team, I would shoot him like this, and I would ensure if I was shooting him, I would have him here and I would have the crowd there, and I would also take a little mount for him and have him stood. We would call it a stage, because you couldn't say, hey little man, stand on the box because you're a midget. So I'd have a mount for him so that every camera angle made the people around him look sort of equal height. And it was the same with Lord Sugar in The Apprentice, actually, because Lord Sugar is nipple height. They would film everything so that the apprentices were like over in Luton, and Lord Sugar would be like in the camera like this, so that we all looked kind of relatively small, and he looked, you see what I mean? He looked taller because, yes, lad Bible. So I believe, and I don't want to blow my own trumpet. This obviously isn't blowing a trumpet, is it? It's squeaking my boobs. That's something I do at home. I don't want to say Lad Bible totally has been watching my speed, but one day after me pointing out the height thing, Lad Bible came up with it, and then someone shared it for me. So it turns out he, you know, what is he, 5'6", and he stood there, isn't he, holding that red case, and he's holding it like a handbag because it's bigger than he fucking is, and he totally looks like Roland Rat, right? Totally. Sky News panel were discussing the possibility of a red weather warning. Listen, it was a shock when I realised he was so short. Exactly. And that is the art of media. That is the art of contrivance. And that's why you should, and I know you guys do, but that's the theatre of mainstream media. I can present to you anything, you know, present me as a monster. I can tell you and make you believe anything. I can make you believe people in Ukraine are being deliberately targeted by Putin. I can make you believe Rishi Sunak's tall. I can make you believe there needs to be a red weather, unique New York. New York, unique. Try that. Unique New York, New York, unique. Unique New York, New York, unique. It's actually quite hard. The media can make you believe that there needs to be a red weather. I've turned into Rishi Sunak. There needs to be a red weather warning tomorrow or Monday and Tuesday in order that everything's shut down, in order that schools can shut down. And maybe you guys already know. Oh, I can't wait to see you in Clonelly. Yes, come on. It's going to be great. I can't even wait to get there. I can't wait. And I honestly, it's never about being on the stage. It's like just having, if there were 5 of us there, 5 of us in a room, knowing we all feel better. And that's what Trafalgar Square was like. You know, you look out and there's whatever many thousand people and you're like, these are the people we're going to call on when we need to. And it's coming. September, October, it's coming. So the red weather warning, so that everybody has got to stay. Now we can talk about climate more. Now, when we're going to restrict your fuel in the winter, part of the benefit of that is climate stuff. And look at the terrible weather. Must be climate. Therefore, we need to net zero. And you see how these things are linked, right? Russia, Ukraine. Now we can say Russia's going to shut off the gas supply. Now we can restrict fuel. Now we can have blackouts. And yet somewhere else, let's pick California, has energy blackouts. Now clearly that's not due to a war with Russia, is it? But commie California has already contrived a way to have energy blackouts. Take South Africa. Nothing to do with Russia, but they already have rolling power outages. So it is like a worldwide, you've got to achieve this, and all you have to sell to people is the mechanism by which you achieve it, right? Anywho, let's see what you talk about. Chemtrails. I know. I can't even read that. Chemtrails. I've started to get my husband will tell you this. On dog walks, if I see these bloody lines in the sky, and our friend, who's like a pilot and whatever, says it's all a load of shit. So I understand that people say it's like tin hat stuff, but some of these videos with these lines in grids, and I've seen it above where I walk the dogs. And then I see it and I see that it clouds over and suddenly the sun's gone. And because I love the sun, I get so pissy now. I rage at the sky. I'm like this. And even if there aren't chemtrails, and even if that just makes me a mad old lady, I'm totally happy with that. Show us your muscles. Oh, must I? Oh, really? No, can't. No, I mustn't. Although occasionally I do give it the old gunshot. Just, for my own amusement, really. Can you be fat and happy? So, funnily enough, during my fat story, when I put on half my body weight to show that it is possible to make change in your life if you want to. And it doesn't mean you have to put on, like I did, nearly 5 stone and lose it again. in 3 months, 3 months on, 3 months off. That was it. So it was half my body weight. It was 4 and a bit stone actually. Put it on in 3 months and took 4.5 stone off in 3 months. And the TV line was, because fat people are lazy. But actually it was about, if you want to make a shift in your life, you can. And that was all it was. And then actually I had a little group of people that joined my fat club, and we all did this sort of walking together, no running, no gym, no paid stuff, no trainers, no nutritionists, no excuses. And everybody lost a ton of weight just by walking, and us all kind of being excited about walking together and blah, blah, blah. So that's what Fat Story was. And yes, of course, you can be fat and happy. 100%. And also, who am I to judge if anybody's happy or fat or whatever? I'm not. And some people say, well, you hate fat people. And that's the biggest load of bollocks there ever was. All I want is the same thing I want now, same thing I wanted through COVID, same thing I want in life, is that people be as happy as they can be. And my theory is that when you feel better about yourself, you're happier. And however you feel better about yourself to be happier is what you should definitely do. And if that means that you can go walking a bit and then your jeans are a bit more comfy and you're less uncomfy, that's totally what I want. And sometimes even if you didn't lose any weight, but you went walking and then you felt better about yourself, that's totally what I wanted to get to. And I also learnt a bunch of lessons, like the fact that being really overweight and having this huge gunt that I had was just awful. And I thought I was going to put 4 stone on my tits, right? And I was terrifically excited about the whole thing. And I was like practicing how I would walk when I had massive boobs. And I was like, I'm going to have my boobs, when they're massive, I'm going to have that shoved up, and I'm going to buy those tops like women buy when they have massive boobs, has a massive cleavage, and I'm just going to be... And that didn't happen at all. And instead I just put 4.5 stone on here, and then I had this, under here there was a flap where I could store things like biscuits or food. I put a whole pencil case under there, small rodents. I once put my hamster under my gunt flap and carried it round. And so there was just this huge thing. And then under the gunt flap then was my actual... And all of that was like sweaty. And the sweat from the gunt flap then used to dribble down where it met. And then it would join, and then it would start to drip from my pubic zone. Like you were wetting yourself, but it was gunt sweat. So that's my experience of being larger, and so therefore I understand it's not that enjoyable. What I did love when someone's being ill. Okay, let's have a little drink and let's not overshare. What I learnt when I had my gunt flap and the excessive weight and the rubby thighs, that's the other thing. About being, for larger ladies, I know that some of you have the whole Vaseline stuff, like in this weather, that inner thigh, and I'm not taking the piss, I'm just being straight up. When you're, like I was, 5 stone over, the middle of your thighs meet, and it's really, and then of course, if you do this a minute with your palms, see how hot that gets. So that's your thighs in the hot weather, that's totally fine. I'm just saying that is. Now, imagine your gunt flap sweating into that. There's a lot going on there. So I learned why, large chubby boom booms wear a lot of stretch wear, because it seriously stops your thighs. And then also chubby boom booms, you wear a slip-on shoe. And I learned that, and I've always loved a slip-on shoe ever since. I never got out the slip-on shoe habit, because this whole thing, when you've got a sneaker and you're bending over to do it up, that thing, and even now, I'm like an old lady, I'm like, ooh. But when you've got this thing here, and pregnant women will know this, you can't actually get there. So you like this. So did I just flash my whole vagina? I had a shave yesterday, quite proud. I think you will have seen less than otherwise you might have. I haven't done the backs of my legs though. Don't talk about that, just the fronts. Just the fronts. Because who's going to look behind and think, oh, she's got a hairy leg? I just do the shin bone and up. That's it. So yeah, if you've got a sneaker, you can't get to it when you're a chubby boom boom. So that's why they wear the slip-on shoes. Why you hear them around Primark going sound of a chubby boom boom. They can't reach a shoelace. Was that too much? So you see, it's not about taking the piss out of chubby boom booms. It's that I know what it was like because I was one, and there was a lot going on here. So many stories to tell. I would go on Piers Morgan. Thank you. I'd love to. Wouldn't it be brilliant if I was Prime Minister on the podium? Good morning, chubby bum bums. Let's get walking. Or you're not using the NHS. You want a new hip? Fucking walk. And this was kind of my premise back in the day, right? Wasn't it? On This Morning, which was like, a lot of doctors, actually, what they need to do. I'd love to sit in the GPs. So imagine if you had me when you went to the GPs and people coming, cheer the fuck up. Come to Blackpool. Here, I prescribe you 2 tickets to Llanelli. Cheery, up. Worky, work. Let's go. You know, it's the same, but it's the people now in masks again, isn't it? They're back. Wearing a mask near me in Waitrose. Oh, I'm cleaner than you are. You might infect me. Remember, darlings, you get the potatoes, whatever they're looking at, give them a little rub and then put them back. I do it all the time. Pisses them off so much. So what time is it? 26. How did it become this time already? So Prime Minister, I know, I'd like to be Prime Minister. We would have just the best time. And actually this country, you know, that's the thing. You'd just be trying to sort things out to make everybody all right. Wouldn't it be a dream? 3 things I'd do straight away. You get British points, right? The more British you are, and I don't mean, it doesn't matter where you came from, none of that, I don't give a shit, but the more British you are, like if you get British humour, you can take the piss out of yourself, you laugh when something terrible happens to you, like you break your leg and you're like, I'm really glad I broke my leg, because I just love not being able to take myself to the toilet. Like, the more British you are, the more points you get, the more credit you get for, like, NHS. We'd have the best country in about 2 minutes. Energy companies, fuck off. You can provide the energy. If you make £2.50 at the end of the week, you did well. So yes, I'd like to be Prime Minister. I think, importantly, I mean, I'd very much like Kemi Badenoch to be Prime Minister, mostly because she's taller than Withy, and also because she doesn't take much shit. Equally, it does piss me off that we need a black lady to say things that white people can't say anymore. I get that people are like, oh, she's great because she says, like, we shouldn't have gender-neutral toilets. But actually, that's a really lame argument, isn't it? Because, of course, we shouldn't have F-bomb gender-neutral toilets, but, of course, it shouldn't be a bloody crime to say that. And we shouldn't actually require a black person to be able to say it, because we should all be able to say it. And I see it with Candace Owens in the States, I see it over here. We now need, like, oh, here's this black person who can say things that a white person can't anymore. Oh, here's this Muslim person, what do I want to say? Majid Nawaz. Here's a Muslim person saying things we can't say. And it's like, that's great. Or even like, you know, when I used to say things against women, like maybe there's no equal pay issue and women need to stop pissing off on maternity leave for 2 years if you want to get paid the same. Here's a woman to say things men can't say. It shouldn't be like that. You shouldn't have to have a person who represents to be able to say this shit. We should all be able to say this shit. And actually, I'm a bit pissed off and bored of the fact that white people can't say shit anymore. You know? Oh, what a ratty day I've had. Preach it, sister. It's me preaching. There's a black person to say... This isn't a black person. This is obviously my book. But, you know, there's a black person to say things we can't say anymore. Listen to her, because you can't attack her because she's black. But if I said it, I'd be racist. So listen to her instead. It shouldn't really be like that now, should it? Particularly not in Britain. Well, the last time I looked, oh, thought it was a white Christian country. Admittedly, that was the 1970s. Okay, and calm. Now, my friends, important things. What did I listen to music the other day? And I thought, I must say on Katie's Arms, you must listen to this and dance to it in your kitchen. Shitbags, I'm not going to be able to remember right off the top of my head. I'll have to remember it and come back to you. Please come to Chanelli. I think tickets are like 20 something quid. So they're like the price that is the lowest ticket price we could have, where we just want people to be able to come and the theatre takes their money, whatever. And if you can't come to Llanelli, I know it's Wales, and actually I'm banned from schools in Wales for speaking out about the crazy Welsh people trying to make kids learn Welsh. I mean, if you want to learn it, amazing, brilliant, you're Welsh, do your thing. But like forcing kids to learn Welsh and then learn maths in Welsh, I mean, that'd be like me trying to learn like Russian and then learn maths in Russian. I wouldn't stand a chance. And many kids don't. Anyway, I'm banned from schools in Wales, but come to Wales on the 20th of August and I'll see you there. Lovely Mark is coming. Actually, I bribed him. I won't tell with what. All I can say is I'm going to need to drink wine before. And then come to Blackpool if you can. Only because I'd like to see you all and we have a lovely time. And otherwise, I never quite got to talking about what I wanted to talk about, but soon I'm going to be over in the States again, helping to rally the red ahead of the midterms, because America is our hope as well. And I was going to talk about, in the last chapter of Rude, is where I explain how I get to the States, because a lot of people ask, because obviously Novak Djokovic and I, both deported from Australia for being purebloods. Chapter 14 is about dying, which sounds like it's not jolly, but actually it's a very jolly chapter. Chapter 15, help, how the hell did you do that? It's how I get to the States. And the glorious thing about that, just a quick story, was that stage one of it was getting out of the UK at a time when it was illegal to leave the country and illegal to go on holiday. And I blagged, all sorts of devious things I did. But when I got to Heathrow to have the shitting testing that I had to have, and I went into the cubicle, it was all very serious, and there was ladies in their ambulance wear, and it was all very, people had their like breathing apparatus on. And then I went into cubicle 2, where I was told to go, and it was very serious. And I went in and I shut the door, and the ambulance dressed lady who was in there to do the COVID testing at Heathrow, one of the real professionals, came over and just gave me a massive cuddle and said, what a load of shit this is. And it was just such a great thing. And then she went, wait there, I've got to go and get Janet. So she goes off to cubicle 3, gets her friend, brings her back to our cubicle. We shut the door, and then we were all in there having a cuddle and doing selfies when we were supposed to be COVID testing at Heathrow, because the ladies knew that it was all a load of shit. I knew, but they needed to keep their jobs and keep their family afloat. And that was the start of the first time I broke back into America. But there were so many moments just like that where people were able, because you go into a room, people are able to offload and just go, we know this is a bunch of crap too. So anyway, much love if those ladies were at all to watch. Thank you to both of you, because you've made the start of many of my breakthroughs into America really much more enjoyable. And there's so many stories just like that. And you are, of course, in my book Help, and you are really what all of what I do is about, which is capturing moments like that, because it gives us all hope, I think. Okay. Where are tickets? Tickets, Llanelli is on the link in this, on my Instagram, whatever that, when you go to the bio-y bit, I put the link there. And September tickets, if you did Katie Hopkins, Blackpool, September, they'll come up. I think Mark has also, lovely Mark, has put them on Katie's Arms, katiesarms.com. Guess what he's working on now? Pens. Offerty piss pens. Seriously? I'm so like an influencer, I can't even believe. Anyway, sorry to anyone with Gunts that, felt in any way offended by Gunts stories, but don't be offended, because I'm one of you, and I'm worse than everybody, And I will see, am I coming to Edinburgh? Oh, I also next week, let's do it next week. I have very exciting news for May 2023. It is finally happening, people. The stand-up tour beginneth. We'll do that next week. So from me to you, much love. Do try and keep smiling. Anybody, you know, that tries to warn you about the heat, smile and tan in their face. Tan naked in your garden. Be naked as much as you can. I did naked ironing with an extension cable the other day. I mean, I don't mean I was attached to the extension cable, nor was I using something attached to it. No, well, the iron. Anyway, I did naked ironing in view of the neighbours the other day, just to give the wives something to aspire to. Okay, my loves, I'll see you next week, and thanks for all your kindness. Thanks for all the support. Thanks for all the comments. I read them, I see you, I hear you, and I'm grateful for all of you. Keep chins up and go be the smile on someone else's face. I'll see you next week.